What's good with YouTube? Y'all already know Big Flocka with a comics perspective, and I'm gonna smash, dash, and slide on through that little bit of energy. Please hit the like, subscribe, comment, do all those things to help support this channel, and hit that bell notification for future fire content. So, um, we're gonna talk about a major event that happened in history of basically prison gangs, prison politics, and whatnot. And there's a lot more behind this situation than people realize. Okay, there's an individual. Okay, we're gonna be talking about the first NF kill on an AB member. Basically, the first NF related gang related homicide that occurred. Um, and this was an individual named Steve Haley, trash can. Right now, previously before all this happened, there's a lot of events that occurred. Okay, there was an incident that happened in Chino where Weddle Morgan, right? I think Weddle Morgan was from Glaton, if I'm not mistaken, from down in LA, right? He was hit, stabbed, right? And a melee presumed from there, and I'm saying a lot of people got transferred out to different locations and whatnot. Trash can or trash man was sent to DVI. Upon arriving, he was identified as one of the culprits involved in stabbing Weddle Morgan. Now, Weddle Morgan survived this attack, and it's going to be interesting what happens from there. Now, he was a big dude, like 6'2", right? And now at that time, Perico, Larry, right, Saldivar, had appointed Hobo, Glenn Holden, to do the removal. And see, at that time, Fig was not a Familiano at the time. Bo had been a Familiano, I think, for maybe about a year at that time. This was in December '72. And so they're going to do removal. They see that this guy, Trash Man, Trash Can, Snake, whatever, there's a lot of different names he went by, right, was starting to recruit people there in DVI. He had two subordinates who were prospects for the AB. So they said, this guy got to go. Now, this is a time of all out, get out. We got to remember a lot of the murders that happened in 1972, previously up until then, there was a few that happened in Susanville, Tehachapi, Soledad, and other locations where, a couple of those MA killed NF members, and a couple of times the AB actually killed NF members. A couple of times they actually did removals together, believe it or not. So he was targeted. Now, this was a stronghold in Tracy. Now, they were all on the same tier, I was told, but they couldn't do it really on the tier. They tried to get him a couple of times on the yard. Now, Fig heard this and he offered his assistance. Bo said, "Nah, I got this," right? But Fig elected to go and get at Perico on the side, and ended up fucking giving him, you know, um, the access to assist Bo. So they started to try to plot different ways. They tried to get him on the yard. They tried to get him in different locations. I mean, every time they tried to get him, something went wrong. In fact, one of the times, fucking Bo actually fucking dropped his fucking piece by accident. He should fucking Fig had to jump right in front of it. They heard it, so they knew what was going on, right? So they had to get him into some room where they had like the day room and all that, which it was kind of hard to get pieces in there because a lot of times they were getting searched. So there was a porter named Chino from Stockton. Now initially he didn't want to get involved, right? But he knew Fig from YA, and he elected to put the pieces there where they needed to be, right? So they ended up going there, getting the pieces, right? Getting into the location. There was one other NF member that was there, Mac from Santa Barbara. Okay. Now they get the pieces and then they elect to start fucking. I mean, Bo goes from the right side, Fig comes from the left side, and they start to proceed to whack him. From there, a whole melee fucking started to presume. A couple of the dudes jumped on Mac. Fig was handling his business, and Bo was going at it with this dude Trash Can, and this dude was a big dude, but Bo was just stabbing him up, butchering him up. Eventually, fucking Fig went over there to assist, and then I think I have the details pretty accurate, but from there, fucking they noticed that fucking Mac had been knocked out. Fucking Fig went to go fucking defend his brother, and then at that time there was so much blood at the time that he didn't die initially, but Trash Can died shortly thereafter on the spot. And at that time, they were pretty much caught. Fig and Bo were pretty much, you know, both these individuals. I think Bo was in there for assaulting a peace officer. He had a little bit of time. And fucking Fig was in there on a joyride and was set to go home pretty soon. Now, they ended up filing charges on these guys, right? Now, the thing that's fucking about this hit that is so major is there's a couple things that you guys don't realize, right? One, this was the first time a prison gang was ever fucking charged with killing another prison gang member. It was the first known case. Doesn't mean that there wasn't prison gang members that were killed, but this was the first time that charges were actually filed, right? Two, now, this was a revenge hit for fucking Weddle Morgan being attacked. 2 weeks after this hit occurred, right? Weddle Morgan fucking laid it down and locked it up. And so there was a lot of people that were disgruntled about that. You know what I'm saying? That they did the sacrifice for him, and you got two young brothers that ended up doing 43 and 45 years for a dude who ended up locking it up. Now, at that time was when Bo was getting recruited. Not Bo, I mean Fig. And now they came up with a new constitution, and they were trying to subpoena Fig to go to court, right, over the Joker, Crackers, and Tiny, and all that, the big case that they had over there in Manzanas when they killed fucking Cheyenne. See, about this hit happened about fucking almost 2 weeks after fucking Cheyenne was killed. So within this time period, you had two fucking murders that were the first kills by the NF on two different organizations. The first ever MA member to be killed. Because a lot of people say Cricket Gallegos was only an MA associate, so I'm going to respect that. Okay? But this was the first actually attributed to the NF at that time. Other hits happened later on. We can argue about whether they were members or not. That's neither here nor there. And maybe there's some past ones I don't know about that could have been members. But this one has gone down the history as far as with the Cheyenne and then with the AB. Now, they've killed other AB members as well. One that snuck through in Tracy. I mean, there's a list of a lot of different people that I have somewhere. I got to get that out, man. But now this was, like I said, this was the first ever prosecuted defense. So you had all these different factors that came about just based upon this case. Bo ends up doing 43 years out of a life sentence, and Fig ends up doing 45 years. Both of them rose through the ranks to holding positions, lieutenants, captains, generals, and both played a very pivotal role within the early years of the NF. You know, when there was a split between the NF, both of them chose different sides. You know what I'm saying? Fig was on one side, you know, with the Babo faction, and Bo was over here with the Black Bob faction. So it's kind of interesting how both these individuals were co-defendants, and they both had a long career. Bo had a longer career. I think Bo was fucking really one of the highest ranking members at one time before he defected. You know what I'm saying? A lot of dudes that came in later that came into leadership positions, you know, a lot of them got schooled by fucking Bo, believe it or not. You know, Pinky, fucking Tex, fucking Corny, you know, all these dudes, man, they were like, you know, new in the system. And Tibbs, you know what I mean? Tibbs and fucking Bo were fucking sellies. So both these dudes, man, you know, were doing some major things at that time, were some major hitters, man. Were involved in some street activities as well. You know what I'm saying? I know, and it was a little bit more, how you say it? Each regiment operated a little bit more independently. It was a little bit different, you know. Later on, Bo was instrumental as far as in being in charge of the structure, North Daniels, and as far as being in charge of the undercover Garnales. Now, they reported to Bo through fucking Ricardo London, which was kind of an interesting thing because Ricardo London was neither NF or NR, but he was fucking in charge of it, you know. And there's a lot of things that came in with the history afterwards, man, but both these guys had, like I said, a long career, you know. There's some very key moments that could have changed things for the NF. You know, Manzanas in T-Bone. You know, when they were transferred. This is when Corny caught this killing. You know, fucking Manzanas submitted his kite, and fucking T-Bone didn't. And see, they were all under the fucking guise of going over there to try to hit fucking Black Bob. So there's some events that happened that just fucking, if this didn't happen, who knows where things would be at today. You know what I'm saying? And this is during the fucking conflict between the NF NF1, NF2, like fucking Sundown calls it, but this was just old NF, new NF, pretty much. This is when all the fucking charges were being held and whatnot. And I talked to Bo this morning, and those were the things that he told me that was, you know, regarding his case that people didn't know was that fucking Weddle Morgan, the one they did this fucking movida for, fucking locked it up 2 weeks after they did this hit. And see, the morale was a little bit down within the NF, man. I used to talk to David Batista and a couple other dudes, right? Rest in peace to David Batista from Bakersfield, right? And he said that, you know, the morale was down. You know, there was a lot of NF members that got whacked, and, you know, they weren't on the same level as the EMA at that time. These two killings changed everything. and it kind of changed the direction as far as which way the NF went. And this is when the new Constitution came out, and this is when they started to identify themselves as a mob. You know, it just changed. It changed direction as far as there's a lot more stuff that was going on. There was no cause or no struggle really at that time. The goal of the NF at the time about being for the people, that was put out the door, and it was all about mob activities. Later on, that came into play with the creation of Norteños. So it's kind of interesting when you sit there and you have these conversations with these old timers, and they're lacing you up about how it was. You know what I mean? Well, this is what happened here, and you know, and Vic made a key point on something. He goes, at that time, during that time era, even those that dropped out, there was still a code of conduct amongst convicts. Nobody spoke on shit. He says, so there's a lot of shit that actually happened that nobody knows that happened because nobody was discussing it. Nobody was just fucking running off working with the administration. You know, they had their fucking employees and informants and all that, but even those that were dropping out, a lot of times weren't always telling, you know. Like I said, who knew that just certain events which forever changed the history, you know? Those two killings kind of sealed the deal that there was going to be conflict for years between the AB and NF because, and MA and NF because these are the two major killings. You know, people overlook this AB killing because Cheyenne got killed about a week or 10 days before. But this killing right here, to me, is just as important because this is the first time that NF actually killed a fucking AB member. That's big, guys. You know what I'm saying? That's not something to overlook. You know what I mean? And all this occurred within a fucking 1 month period, you know? And at that time, they were, like I said, Fig was supposed to go all the way to fucking Chino to go, they were trying to subpoena him, but he had that pending case because he was supposed to bring over the new Constitution. And that's when Bob was pretty much elected. And one of the main reasons Bob was elected too, that I was told, was one, that they knew he was fucking a ferocious individual, but two, because of the first hit that happened in '68 when they killed MA associate Cricket Gallegos. To them, he was an MA member. You know what I'm saying? But to what others have said on the Mexican Mafia side, he was an associate. You know what I mean? But they also said that about Flaco. And Fake swears up and down that Flaco from Artesia was offered the sponsorship to the MA for membership. That came directly out of Fig's mouth, and he can co-sign that. It's in his book and everything. You know, I don't know. I believe Fig. You know what I'm saying? People are going to argue that, but that's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. A lot of people lost their lives, whether they were sympathizers or members. They were part of something. They aligned with one group or the other. And here we are, 50 years later. And, you know, these yards are more at peace with each other. You know, people are coexisting, and people aren't letting the past dictate the future. With that said, it's your boy Flaco, man. Hope you guys have a good day. Stay positive, productive, and whatnot. I'm gone.